Everyone loves the idea of a fresh start, a clean slate, a blank canvas. But what if you're not starting fresh? What if you're working with a horse or your body that has already got a bit of a story written into it? Maybe it was a previous career. Maybe it was a previous discipline. Maybe it was a younger version, okay? That's not training. That's retraining. And it's a totally different ball game. This needs a total different approach. It needs a different mindset, and it needs a lot more time and compassion for both you and your horse. And I think that if you've been stuck at any level in your riding for a certain period of time, there could be a good chance that you've been trying to train your way out of something that actually needs to be retrained. Okay, let's dive in. Hey there, my name is Lorna Leeson and welcome to the Daily Strides podcast. I'm an equestrian trainer and coach, and I work with riders from all over the world, helping them to train their horses, become better versions of themselves in the saddle, and usually if they don't have the attention and the detail of a regular instructor or trainer in the arena with them. And today I want to talk about how there is a huge difference between training and retraining, schooling and reschooling. Very often for riders, they'll call it training when it comes to themselves, and they'll call it schooling when it comes to their horses, okay? We're just going to use both of these terms kind of intermixed. We'll sprinkle them through this episode, but I do think it's really important to understand the concept and to understand that both of these situations, whether you're training or retraining, whether you're schooling or reschooling, it requires a different approach. It requires you to create a different way in order to overcome the issue or the challenge that you're seeing, okay? And let's just kind of get really back to basics here. If we're talking about training or schooling, we are usually talking about having a bit of a blank canvas, okay? Like it's a green horse, it's a new rider, you're doing something or you're showing your horse how to do something that they've never done before. This is brand spanking new, okay? It is something that requires you to not only understand the concept, but then to also understand how to do that within your body or your horse's body, okay? It's new. Now, if we talk about retraining or reschooling, here we're working with existing patterns, okay? And this is where there's a lot of misunderstandings that can show up, okay? We're talking about habits. And for the most part, we're also talking about emotional habits as well. And very often riders fail to bring this into the conversation. And whether it's to do with the horse or the rider, they're not seeing that, when you're training, you are not just training on the physical level, you're also training on the emotional level, okay? And when we're talking about retraining, it's very often the emotional patterns that actually need to be addressed in order for the physical retraining to really work and to happen and to quote unquote stick, okay? Now, very often with riders, this will show up for them if they've had a break away from riding for a while. They're coming back to it and they feel like they know all of the things, okay? And meanwhile, they have a different body. It's a whole different, you have a different mindset, okay? You're really a different person. You're not the past version. You've had all these experiences between there and now, and you need to really appreciate that and to be compassionate with that, okay, with that sort of circumstances that you're going to find yourself in. Now, for horses, it's very often a case of they will start a new career maybe, okay? So you've had them doing one career for however long, and now suddenly they're being asked to do this different career. Now, yes, there's a bit of training that goes in there, but remember, they already know all of the things that they already know, yeah? So they are automatically just assuming, okay, well, there's a set kind of expectation here of me. And, before everybody was quite happy when I responded this way to that particular question. So why isn't that working anymore? So it's definitely a retraining issue that goes on there. Now, there are obviously lots of other ways that this is going to apply. We're going to chat about all of them. We're also going to chat about how you can begin to identify if you have a training or a retraining issue for either yourself or your horse. Now, for many riders, retraining is going to feel a little bit more challenging, okay? I think it's to do with very often there's like this, as I said, this like emotional baggage that comes with it. And it could be fear, it could be shame, it could be regret, it could be overthinking, it could be like, I know how to do this, so therefore, why can't I do this? Okay. It's also down to muscle memory. And I think this is important to consider that, again, all of these apply to both horse and rider. And there has to be this kind of picking apart, this little bit of almost like unlearning in order to really start and get back to basics to begin to learn again, but in a different direction. It's almost like kind of following a path back from where you came to get to the point where now you can diverge off onto a different path. If you're trying to kind of just pick up on the path that you're on, okay, and the place where you're at, and you're trying to like bundu bash, you're going through the bush to try and get to the other path, that's way more challenging, hey? And that's what so many riders are doing. So I think it's really important to understand that there is this kind of picking apart that needs to happen as well when we're dealing with this. Now, for many riders, it can leave them feeling very disheartened and almost like lacking confidence in their own abilities, because you'll keep asking yourself, am I doing this right? Like, why is this so hard? Now, a lot of OTTB owners get this point, okay? They kind of think like, yeah, but my horse, like, he knows this. Like, look, he's backed, he's riding. Yes, but he knows differently, hey? The same if your horse has come from maybe being a working horse and now is coming over to being a pleasure horse, okay? And that this can apply to so many different areas. It can apply to so many different disciplines. It can apply to so many different methods. It's different. It's a different set of expectations that you're now placing on your horse. And when you don't have any feedback, when you don't have any trainer or instructor, or if you don't have even something basic like mirrors in your arena helping you with this, you know what's happening? It's your mind, it's your head that's actually going to begin training you. And if you do not have your mindset clear and sorted out, you can see how many rabbit holes that's going to take you down, okay? So what am I going to suggest you do? I think first and foremost, you need to begin to identify if the issue is a training or a retraining issue, okay? Because that's going to define then how you're going to approach it. So I would say that if you ask the question, okay, this challenge that I have, this issue that I have, it just keeps showing up again and again and again, even if I think we've actually, quote unquote, fixed it and we've worked through it, it's like a jack in the box. It just keeps coming back, okay? I would say then that yes, you've definitely got a retraining issue. And the reason is because you have something that has a habit or maybe an emotional association. And as soon as things go a little bit, wonky, as soon as we apply pressure, as soon as things don't go to plan, it will revert back. And that's why you keep having to go back to like start. It's like, no, it's like a game of snakes and ladders, and you keep getting the snake that brings you back to the starting block, okay? That's what it feels like. So that's definitely a retraining issue. What I would say here, maybe this could look like if you're a rider leaning forward through your transitions, even though you're like really aware of it. It's a habit. You've created the habit, and it's going to take you replacing that with another habit, which of course is going to take time and consistency to actually change that for yourself. With your horse, it could be that every time you go into the canter, your horse rushes. And maybe this has to do with a past, maybe something uncomfortable or an unpleasant experience, or maybe just the way your horse was trained. Maybe somebody trained your horse to do that. Trained your horse, I'm saying, very often people are training horses, they don't even realize they're training the horse. But everything that you're allowing is essentially training, okay? So keep that in mind as well. Another way that you could kind of identify if this is training or a retraining issue is, are you feeling a little bit frustrated because you think that you should be further along, okay? Now, very often, again, this can be a retraining issue. And it could be that maybe you're being a bit too hard on yourself because you're coming back to riding maybe after a break or a fall, or maybe you're trying something different, okay? And your body and your emotional mindset keeps going back to the old way, okay, quote unquote, the old way, okay? And you're not learning it for the first time. You're actually trying to unlearn outdated maybe beliefs, or it could be muscle memory from doing something a different way from before, okay? This is a retraining issue. So maybe it's like you used to ride like really confidently, like you had no problem. You were like, let me on the horse. And now you're noticing now, hold on, every time I even go to put my foot in the stirrup to mount up, I am like a quivering wreck. What is going on here? That's not a lack of skill, okay? That's not a training issue. That's a retraining issue. And it's a retraining in the emotional sense of it, okay? It's having to retrain yourself to think and therefore to feel differently through your body. Now, another great way to kind of figure this out would be to give yourself a bit of an emotional response test, just building on that. And this is for you and your horse, okay? So is there, when you try the new thing, okay, or what you think is the new thing, is there an emotional reaction? Is there fear, tension, resistance? Okay. When you're learning something brand new, there tends not to be any sort of emotion attached to it. It just kind of, you're learning it and you're like, oh, look, that didn't go great. Let's try it again. Okay. And then it's like, oh, look, that also didn't go that hot. Okay. Sure, we'll try it again. And there's this openness to it. Okay. It's not feeling like, oh my goodness, this is not working out, and it just becomes so tense. That's that emotional baggage I've been talking about, okay? Now, with your horse, it could be like just this tension coming up. It could be like losing the rhythm. It could be tail swishing, okay? It could be that every time you ask for something, you notice your horse's head and neck just rises up like, oh dear, she's going to ask that question again, okay? This would be a retraining thing. With the rider, it could be that you can feel this tightening maybe in your chest or across your body or shoulders every time you like approach the jump or the poles, okay? And it's often that there was something that happened in the past that you actually haven't really processed properly, and that's going to take time to process. And I know people don't want to hear that things take time, but retraining takes time. It really does. That's why I said training is often so much easier. It's because we don't have all of the baggage that comes with the retraining. It's neutral. It's easy. It feels easy. Now, with your horse specifically, if you find that when you ask something, okay, from your horse, something new, okay, or at least what you feel is new, does your horse feel a little bit like wobbly? Does he feel a little unsure? Or does he offer the absolute wrong kind of answer to your question, but he does so with like confidence? He's like, well, there you go. And you're like, no, that's not what I'm asking at all. Okay, if he's offering the answer, feeling very confident in himself, that's a retraining issue. If he's feeling a little bit unsure, unsteady, unbalanced about it, if he's kind of like, there's a bit of hesitation, he's like, I don't know what she wants, but I'll try this, okay? That is usually a training. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. And this is where you can guide him along. So it's a very kind of a simple way to really like get in with your horse and to understand what's going on. And then the final one I'm going to say is that if you feel that you're stuck at a bit of a plateau, I would say that potentially there is a retraining issue going on underneath. Now, a couple of years ago, I had a free kind of a program called Finding the Gaps in Your Horse's Training. And this would be that situation. There's gaps in there that you need to figure out, hold on, like we're able to do lots of things, but clearly there's a couple of maybe foundational and fundamental things that they've gone awry a little, okay? And then being able to maybe go back and, as I said, kind of retrace the steps. And they may not have been your steps, but retrace the steps back down the road to where you get to the fork and you can take a different route. And I think that's really, really important for you and your horse. So what do you do with all this? If you figured out now, I've definitely got a retraining issue. No, it's a training issue. What next? I think that whole, going back to that kind of mental loop, like, am I doing this right? Is this okay? It's exhausting, especially when you don't have feedback. And I'm going to encourage you at this point, there's a couple of different ways you can go from this, but the number one way I'm going to say is to find out more about the Restart and Reschool private coaching for Q3 that I'm running. We're going to start very soon, and there's limited spaces, very limited. So if you would like to get involved with that, you can pop over to stridesforsuccess.com/or. You'll get like obviously my feedback, there'll be actual virtual lessons together, and then video coaching as well. So there's lots going on there. I would suggest having a look at that. Now, the other way you could do this would be to video yourself. And I've been talking about this a lot recently. I think it is fantastic. But I think the big thing is you have to first catch the thoughts going through your head. If you're constantly just being a Debbie Downer and you're like, oh, well, now look at that, I'm useless. That's not going to work. You have to think of this as from the perspective that you're just observing the video, okay? You're noticing things. It's not to make you feel bad or to make you feel terrible about your riding or your horse's training. It's just to notice things, to observe things, and then to take action based on the things that you notice. That's it, okay? Like you can track your patterns, things like that. But I would say definitely video. I would highly suggest getting yourself a Pivo, which will just make that so much easier. But you don't need one. There are other ways to do it, but I would highly, highly suggest that. If you'd like more information on how to get started with video, I would suggest popping over to stridesforsuccess.com/video. I have a free little download there that you can use to get you up and running and just going with taking videos. And then finally, I would say maybe get regular lessons. If either of the above is not going to suit you, I would say then maybe a professional needs to come in to help you, especially with the retraining. Retraining is not, as I said, it is more challenging, and it's to do with the fact that there's the habits, but very often it's the emotional habits, the emotional baggage that's been brought to the table. That is where the issue is coming in for horses and for riders. So definitely getting a professional to help you with that as well would be really, really helpful in that situation. I think right now, as I am recording this, we are getting ready, and this is actually going to be released on the 1st of July. That is the first day of the second half of this year, okay? See it like New Year's Day. Okay, I think there is such an opportunity now to recommit. This is like the perfect time, and it's usually the perfect weather, regardless of which side of the world you're living on, okay? This is like it is absolutely perfect. If the first half of the year didn't go to plan, or it just didn't happen, if your goals, you're like, goals, schmoles, what goals? Okay, if it all went a bit wonky, this is it. Recommit, and recommit by figuring out, do I need to train or do I need to retrain? Does my horse need schooling or does my horse need reschooling? Which is it? And then from there, go and make a plan, whatever's going to suit you, to get you moving forward with your horse. Okay, I am going to leave it at that. All of the things that I mentioned, all the links I mentioned are in the show notes for this episode, so you can just scroll down whenever you're listening, they'll all be there. And yeah, I would love to, if you're looking for a little bit more hand-holding, just private coaching basically, I would love to help you. I'd love to see if we're a good fit. Go there, figure it out, get in touch, send me an email, okay? We can figure out all of the things. Okay, have a super week, keep well, and I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.